I want to thank all of you that are joining us in the conversation today. An important conversation talking about tourism and the hospitality industry, how to make it appealing to the people. For those who do not know me, my name is Obehi Ewanfoh. What I actually do is help people to better connect to their audience and to retain their real audience so that you can continue to serve them. I am the founder of Aclasses Media. Aclasses Media is a media platform that offers educative content, including various areas like business, storytelling, tourism, and more. Now, in Aclasses Media, we are also strong advocate for the power of storytelling, and we tend to promote it with people, helping them to understand that they can use it to stand out in the competition because there are 5 billion people on the internet. Of course, it's normal that there are a lot of people that are just replicating other people out there. What we are saying is that even though we are many on the internet, over 5 billion people, and in the world we are over 8 billion people, each of us is unique. How we are able to bring our uniqueness into the marketplace is that we leverage our story because we are still having different story, even though we are many in here. So if we leverage our story, we see that we don't have any competition because nobody can compete with you within your experience, because story is basically enacting or talking about your experiences, the experiences that you have made. So this is what actually separates you from other people out there. So this is why we continuously encourage businesses and individuals to leverage the power of storytelling. And within Aclasses Media, one of the most important things for us is the power of co-creation and collaboration. We love this so much in that we believe that we do not have all the solutions within our organization, but by working with different professionals out there, we are able to co-create solutions for the people that we are serving. That is actually what separates us from many businesses that might look like us out there. In that we are really key on that we don't have all the solutions, but by working together with other people, we're able to come up with solutions that can have better impact on the people. And of course, today we are talking about something that we consider important because tourism is one of the areas that we are working seriously about. And we have the intention of being able to expand on this later on in the future. Talk about African tourism, for example, tourism industry in different parts of the world, but try to look for where people of African descent are better treated, help them understand what are these good places that they should go, what are of historical importance to them, because the major people that we are targeting in our work are the African diaspora and of course people of African descent. So when we talk about tourism, when we talk about business, when we talk about anything at all that we are talking about, we are always putting this at the forefront so that we know who we are targeting. This is very important for us. We have 3 people that are going to be helping us to understand the dynamics of the hospitality industry today, because we are looking at how can we make it more appealing to travelers. This webinar is actually an extension of the Obehi podcast. You all know that Obehi podcast will actually take a deep dive into the conversation of the day. So today we are having 3 people speaking, each of them giving a lecture on how they approach tourism or what we should learn from tourism. Each of them is giving 30 minutes each to talk. All right, Bukeka, so it's your turn. You are going to be the first to talk today. So I want to thank you again for joining me. I'm really very happy and pumped to have you here. Please take it off from here.
Well, Obehi, first of all, thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to be a part of your program and to offer some information that I know is going to help your listeners. And I do see Anolia is here, so hello there. So we're excited to have everybody here today. But thank you so much. I am excited because the invitation to do this particular piece has come at a most wonderful time in my professional career. When I shared with Obehi that what I wanted to talk about was travel preparedness whether it's business or personal vacation or holiday, as our friends would say outside of the US on holiday. Let me give you a little bit of my background. I am a travel professional. I received my travel credentials back in 20, I think 2017, 2018, and have loved the industry. It's a huge industry. It's an $8 trillion industry. And I encourage people to not only explore the industry from the consumer aspect, but I encourage people to also look at it from a business aspect because it is a lucrative industry and it's not going anywhere. People are traveling in droves, and despite the prices that have fluctuated and gone up a slight percentage, but people adore travel, and it's important that people take the opportunity to get out of their comfort zone, get out of their borders, so to speak, and become a part of the of the world culture and learn from others. The other piece of my career, I am a musician, vocalist, songwriter, and I serve as the Deputy Executive Director for Creative Cities Kansas City, which is the UNESCO City of Music designation for the United States. We are the only UNESCO Creative Cities of Music in the United States. And so, just from that perspective, there is a great aspect of travel involved with the work that I do. So, not only am I in the travel industry, but I use it extensively and help others do the same. So, as I mentioned at the beginning, my topic today is be prepared, travel preparedness, business and pleasure. So, when people are about to go on a trip, whether it's business or pleasure, I think it's really important that you get excited, that you have the opportunity to dream about, vision about what it is that you want to do, whether it's a cruise or whether you're going on a more immersive experience. Just give yourself permission to get excited about what it is that you're about to do and then get to work. Now that you've got that vision in your mind, then you got to get to work. And depending upon the type of travel that you're doing, that get to work could be several months before you travel or even a couple of weeks. But you want to make sure that you give yourself that time to get yourself organized and ready. What I've experienced lately is that sometimes I don't have a lot of time to get organized and ready. So I've kind of got to be ready when it's time to get up and go. So whether you are a frequent traveler, if you're a first time traveler, or you haven't traveled in a long time, this information is going to be really helpful and important to you. So the first thing I would say is that once you decide where you're going, or you know where you're going, or you've been told where you're going because of your job or the professional part of or your business travel, be sure to have your documents ready. You know, most of us have our passport in a location of the house where we keep our important papers. And if you're a frequent traveler, you know exactly where that is. You can go to it and it's ready. It's in the same spot all the time. If you haven't traveled in a long time, you probably have it in a place where you have other important documents. But go back and check every now and then just to make sure that it hasn't expired or it's not about to expire. And be sure to know that what your where your passport offices are, what your requirements are in terms of how long it's going to take to get a new passport if you need to, if it's about to expire, that type of thing. For some of us, it means visas, and those situations can take quite a bit of time to acquire. So you want to make sure that you have that you're giving yourself plenty of time. If whether you're frequent it's been a long time, or you are traveling for the first time. You want to make sure that all of those documents are ready to go. And be sure to ask friends that do travel what their experiences are, what you need to be prepared for. There's all kinds of websites as well to give you information on what you need to do to get prepared. Also, that preparedness includes knowing about the place that you're going to and doing the research on where you're going to. So, for example, there's a big topic of discussion going on in the United States because of an island called Turks and Caicos. Turks and Caicos is in the Caribbean, and they have passed a law that you cannot have any type of arms or ammunition in your luggage. And for most of us, that's like a no brainer. Why would we have arms or ammunition in our luggage? But for people who are hunters, for people who are that own that ammunition and arms, they may go somewhere in the car and travel with it, but then they go to Turks and Caicos and forget to take out the things that are in their luggage from their last trip. And consequently, because of that law, if it's found, they can spend 12 years in prison. Now, that's an extreme situation all the way around, from the whole fact of traveling with something that is as dangerous as arms to a law that says you're going to spend 12 years in prison if you're found with that type of with something like that in your luggage. But it's something to also just be aware of when you're traveling. What are the laws? What are the things that you need to understand about the countries that you're going to? And when it comes to just your own conscious decision making about what you're taking with you, you're supposed to be going on vacation or you're going on business. So what are the things that you take with you that are specific to those things, whether it's a new wardrobe or a new laptop? You want to make sure that you have what you need when you're traveling to different places and for different reasons. But again, that preparedness, knowing the documents, having the research, knowing where you're going to. For international travelers, depending upon the situation, know where the embassies are. Be aware of your of what the customs are. So I'll give you a couple of great examples of recent travel. I had the opportunity. Well, first of all, let me go back to my experience with UNESCO. I started with this position on January the 8th of this year. Thrilled, absolutely thrilled. And the first thing they say, okay, you've got to be ready to travel to Abu Dhabi in the United Arab Emirates in 3 weeks. Now, I have never been to that part of the world. Of all of the wonderful things that I've heard about it, and Abu Dhabi is actually a UNESCO Creative City of Music. So there was going to be all kinds of connections there regarding music. It was the World Conference, the UNESCO World Conference on Arts and on Culture, Arts, and Education. And so all of that was just wonderful. I was thrilled to be able to have that experience. And when I got there, the music, the customs, the beauty of it all was just absolutely breathtaking. And so and I learned about customs when it comes to music. I learned about customs when it comes to just how you carry yourself, respecting the method of dress and cover when you're going into certain spiritual places where people are worshiping. And so being able to know those things ahead of time and being excited about it made that trip even more wonderful. But I was prepared. I researched, I listened, I learned, and I talked to people, and that made a huge difference. I know that things are probably coming up close as far as time is concerned, but there are definitely some things I want to cover with you when it comes to just the fun part of preparing for a trip. And for the ladies, that's wardrobe. That's absolutely the fun for, especially for ladies, that's really fun to to go into your online shopping store, or your or going to the wherever your place to shop is, and start looking at the things that you love to wear, the colors, the styles, the things that are going to make it more comfortable. Now, if you're going to a place and you know you're going to be having a good time, and you might be going to an event where there's dancing and music, you want to make sure that you have appropriate attire for that. Or if you're just going to the beach, making sure that you have proper attire for that, where you're comfortable and you have all the protections that you need for sunscreen, or whatever the case may be, whatever you need to do to prepare for your hair, or all of those things. So I am speaking pretty much to the ladies right now for those that are listening, but also for the guys. I have a friend who works with me in the organization, and he says, "Oh, it doesn't take any time to pack." Well, tell that to your wife who's packing for you and herself and your two kids. It probably takes her a lot more time. And so I really love, being able to explore in that way of just making it an enjoyable experience. If you're traveling with children, make sure that they have what they need, because they can get restless on those airplanes, and that they understand, that you're going to a different place, that you want to have, be respectful of your parents, and be respectful of where you are. Stay close to your mom and dad, and just be aware. So that's what I have today for being prepared, for travel preparedness, whether it's business or personal. Have a good time, have your documents, and get excited about your trip and your travel. Thank you so much.
That's lovely. That's lovely, Bukeka. In fact, you are becoming very elegant now in everything. Anyway, I know you already have already prepared this before. You have been prepared. You have been an expert in it. And we have done 2 episodes with you, though. I think we are also going to do more about your new position in UNESCO. That is important for us. We like to share the story, though. We like to share your achievement here. All right. Anyway, we'll come back to that just now.
Would love to.
All right.
Yes.
So, our sister in the room, we are going to move to Enolian, who is also going to do the presentation. Then after that, we are going to have Petrov. Then after that, we're going to have the Q&A session, where we are going to have some few things to respond to. The first question I'd like to ask to Bukeka is, now, as an expert coming from UNESCO, what are the bases of making a location attractive to UNESCO? What is UNESCO looking for that make them pick a particular location against maybe another location that might not be considered important? Because when it becomes a UNESCO World Heritage now, there many people are coming there because it's like a kind of an approval that is a place to go. But what really are the conditions that make a location appealing?
In UNESCO, there are various programs, and World Heritage Sites is just one of those programs. And it's an important program because it establishes to the world what aspects of our planet are important for humanity to understand more of. The program that I am in is the UNESCO Creative Cities Network. Now, the Creative Cities Network that became a UNESCO program in 2004, and such cities started to develop in various disciplines. There are 7: music, film, gastronomy, media, craft and folk art, and design. So in the United States, there are nine, oh, and there's also literature, excuse me. There are nine creative cities in the United States, and Kansas City, Missouri, is the UNESCO Creative City of Music, and we're the only creative city of music in the United States. There are two cities in the United States that represent literature, and then the others are comprised of media, design, craft and folk art, and gastronomy. Now, when it comes to how we incorporate tourism, all of our UNESCO offices, we look at what does what do visitors want to know more of about that particular discipline. And so, for example, if you're a city of gastronomy, you're going to have all of your cultural restaurants out for display. And so I loved what you said, Petroff, as far as all of the ways that you incorporate media design into letting tourists know about what your particular business is. In our respect, it's in Kansas City, it's music, and so we're actually doing that very thing right now. The whole rebranding, and because the World Cup, the FIFA World Cup, is going to be hosted in North America in 2026. Kansas City being one of those locations, we are absolutely preparing right now to make sure that our branding and such is going to be attractive to those people coming into the United States for the FIFA World Cup, and particularly making sure that everybody knows where all the music is, right? So in terms of what we do for people to know about who we are, we're focused in the Creative Cities Network in music, but we understand that or what we want, what UNESCO really wants people to understand in general, is that the ways that we present culture to the world is a way that we enhance peace in our world as well. So I hope that answered the question.
Yes, it does. It does. Thank you so much for that. And of course, because we are talking of how to make traveling more appealing to the people, or more appealing to the travelers, it were, my second question would be, what do you see as a recommendation, in this case, maybe to the businesses in the hospitality industry, or maybe what you think should be done to make traveling more appealing to the people? Because we just came out of, okay, not only just now, but not too long ago, we came out from COVID-19 where everybody was locked at home. So the tourism industry actually had a hit from that. So now we are trying to encourage more people to travel more, because traveling, like they say, as often said, is part of education.
From our vantage point, there's two things, because we want for citizens in the United States to broaden their perspective of music throughout the world. And then we want people coming into the United States to know about, and particularly Kansas City, how important music is and how that particular aspect of life brings people together. So when it comes to what we want people to know about traveling to different parts of the world, is that the people and the heritage of that location is a part of the soul aspect of that travel journey. You will experience that from a 5-star experience to being totally immersed into the culture if you do it in the right way. I love Enolia's example because she has an experience that really combines those two worlds, those worlds of beautiful, exquisite travel into the history and the spiritual and the cultural aspect of traveling to Egypt. And actually that same thing can be done if you're coming to the smack dab in the Midwest of Kansas of the United States in Kansas City, right? We might not have the long history that other countries do, since we're only 200 plus years old. But we have a rich history of jazz. We have a rich history of the stories, the pain and the glory of the African diaspora and Black people in this country. There's all kinds of things that we can do to that we want to do in our offices to basically enhance the narrative, enhance the vitality and the vibrance of culture in our city. And of course, we want other people to experience that, particularly our musicians, as they go as ambassadors to other countries and represent UNESCO Creative Cities Network in Kansas City.
Thank you so much for that. That is really valuable. I thank you so much for the work that you are doing there, and of course, for the new role that you will be given at the UNESCO to be able to represent your city, and of course, the people that are following you. That is particularly important for me. Bukeka, I'd like you to say something about, because of course, again, this is for the part of the office that you are in, which is an important office, that is UNESCO. And that, of course, is making me to ask a question related to preservation, because we are enjoying the destination because they are preserved. If they are destroyed, nobody will care about them, because there are this culture of preservation. And some people are interested, because we are talking of Egypt just now. These are cultures that have been preserved for thousands of years. That is why people are still saying, oh, they are important. They are important, of course, because there we go to learn about the letters, how people were writing, how people were preserving their mummies. These were things that were done several thousands of years ago. So the question for you, Bukeka, is what are your recommendations to better preserve our cultural heritage so that they can be valid even for people that are going to be here when we are dead and gone? Help me understand that.
It's a very important question. It's one that's really dear to my heart, because and Obehi, we've talked about this before. My parents, both of my parents, were involved in the civil rights movement in the United States, and so that's a whole story unto itself. But for me personally, there are artifacts, there are stories, there are curriculums, there are articles that that goes to the storytelling of just my family, alone. So it's very important we take it down to the micro level of the family, of the individual, to really look at your personal story and how that really relates to your family. And there's, obviously a plethora of ways to document and preserve that, even if it's from an ebook, or it's from a scrapbook, or something of that nature that you pass down from one generation to the next. That's how our stories live, particularly with Black people in the United States, because of the fact that we're not in the motherland. We're not in Egypt. We're not in a country that has those thousands of years of preservation. So that is where we start here. But then again, there are the museums. Museums are very important, and to be a part of boards, advisory councils that are within the museums, within your locale, so that you can make sure that the neighborhood stories, the community stories get preserved in those situations. Unfortunately, the United States and other countries have been there's been theft. There's been artifacts that belong to tribes, that belong to families in Africa, in Egypt, in parts of the world where those things were pulled away. So you also have to have a set of ethics that make sure that the artifacts that are within these museums are relevant to our legal are legal, like can legally be there, that they're not stolen, and if they are, that they go back to those tribes, to those to their originating points. And that is how we have preservation. We do it with ethics, we do it with storytelling, and we do it from that personal sense of who we are as an individual and why our own personal story has relevance in the world.
Thank you so much for that. I don't want to enter that rabbit hole because if I enter, I'm not going to come back. The part I have to do with the story of artifacts, particularly in Africa, I promise I'm not going to enter that rabbit hole because I'm coming from
it's a whole nother show, a whole nother series.
It will take a series of interviews to cover that because I'm coming from a people whose city was actually burned down by the British, and they loot thousands of artifacts. And those artifacts populate many European and Western museums today. The British today don't want to return those artifacts. Yesterday, I was reading a post talking about the first Prime Minister of the Democratic Republic of Congo, Patrice Lumumba, who was not only killed, but actually gassed, so that his body was actually melted in acid. And recently, I don't remember how long ago, one of his tooth was actually returned by the Belgian. So we can't even fathom what has happened about the genocide, the homicide that have happened in Africa, and the artifacts that have been stolen. Anyway, I repeat, I don't want to enter that rabbit hole. I will just be very emotional about that. So let's leave it for another day. All right. Now, if people want to connect with you...
Let's just say the British are famous for having other nations' parts in museums.
that conversation could really be very interesting to do. But anyway, we'll go back to it on another day, okay? All right, so let me go back to Bukeka. Bukeka, people that want to connect with you, how can they reach you? Maybe they want to do business with you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Obehi. So I can be reached a couple of ways. Probably the easiest way is just email me and I'll get, and some of us have 5 million emails. I am one of those. So I'm going to give you the one that is the easiest to remember. It's bukekastyle@gmail.com. bukekastyle@gmail.com. And that's BUKEKASTYLE@gmail.com. One of the things that I did not get a chance to mention is that, and my husband and I are co-founders of our own streaming channel, which is designed to make sure that these stories are not forgotten, and there is a place in the streaming world to have those stories, and that's faveunitetv.com, FAVUNITE TV.com. And if you want to send any information to that, it's just info@faveunitetv.com.
Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. That is important. It's good to say that so that people know that you are multifaceted. That is true. And of course, being multifaceted is also something that is also new now, because if we entered into Egypt now, we'll be hearing names like Ihote. That name begin to sound something very important to us. People should be actually multifaceted, be able to do a lot of things. That is important. All right, now the final question for you. Today we talked about how to make tourism and hospitality more appealing to traveler. What is your final take on that?
I'm going to kind of go with what Enolia said. Start the mindset. Have the mindset of, I want to see the world. And if you're for the traveler, and then for the person that's offering that, same thing. Be excited what you have to offer to share with the world, whether it's music or art or the wonderful site that you have to offer. Be excited. And then I'll also throw in a little bit of Petrov, brand it, market it, and do it really well.
Thank you so much, sister. I appreciate it. That's been a pleasure here.